welcome everybody to Who Are You, VSA, another podcast. And I got a nice guest with me, Kaapie. So we're going to just learn more about him. He's doing quite well on TikTok. And I was just telling him now how his videos really inspired me on, you know, how to also give back and help the community in South Africa. So yeah, without further ado, just like to welcome Kaapie, and then if you can just kindly also I also ask him the question, who are you? VSA.
No
To,
problem, no problem. Thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me onto the podcast. I was really pleasantly surprised when I got your message. So yeah, I go by the name Kapi, and it's kind of a name that I got along the way. It's actually quite funny. My wife and I kind of just decided on the name a couple of months ago. Actually, it was maybe about I would say about 6 months ago, and it really just happened because of the fact that I live in Korea. So Kapi in Korea just sounded like the flow was good. Plus, I'm from the Kaap, and it's a place that's very important to me, and it's a place that I've grown to miss a lot in the last year and a half that I've been away from home. Yeah, so I'm from the Cape, from Cape Town, lived in Cape Town most of my life, and then lived in Johannesburg for about 3 years from 2019 up until 2021, 2022. Um, and then, yeah, got married, and now I'm here in South Korea. So, yeah.
perfect. Where in Cape Town actually did you grow up, or around what?
We moved around quite a bit. Yeah, we moved around quite a bit. Mostly we were in Salt River. So Woodstock Salt River, if you know where that is.
Let's see it.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. So Woodstock Salt River was basically where my family's based. In fact, my grandfather was actually born in the house that my family still lives in today. But during my childhood, we moved around quite a bit. So we lived in Goodwood, we lived in Blouberg, we lived in Rondebosch East, we lived in Woodstock also, but
Okay.
mostly Salt River. That was like the base. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And I spoke to you, but then you said you were quite an introvert actually. What started
Was.
getting into this TikTok actually on social media?
That's an awesome question. So, couple of years ago, after I left high school, in fact, let me first start with what was happening during high school. In high school, I was a very introverted person, but it's because I was struggling a lot emotionally. I was a very serious person. I never really spoke to people. In fact, I remember one day in matric, some other peers of mine, same grade, actually said to me, "Do you know we've been in school together for 5 years, and we've never spoken to you before until today, because you always looked so serious."
Yeah.
Now, of course, we had six classes in the grade. So, I mean, obviously, you don't always get to chat to everybody. But nevertheless, I was a very serious person. So when I left high school, a lot of my friends went on to go and study. I actually never saw any of my friends again after that last day of high school. And so I just continued to struggle in my own head.
Mm.
And long story short, somewhere along the line, I actually went to this leadership academy, which was really just by chance. It was like a military style academy,
Sure.
leadership academy. And at this academy, one of the things that they did, being a military style academy, let me just give you a little bit of background. I had to shave my head bald.
Yeah.
We used to wake up at 4:30 every morning.
Oh,
We had no contact with the outside world, no cell phone, no phone calls, no nothing. We used to do like they do in the military type of thing, where you wake up 4:30 in the morning, you got like 10, 15 minutes to get done, and then you go out and you go exercise for about half an hour or 45 minutes, something like that. And then you go on with the rest of your day. But one component of this academy was that every Wednesday, they used to have somebody come in and give a motivational talk. And I vaguely remember a couple of people that came up on those days, on those Wednesdays. But there was one in particular, one story in particular that really hit me very hard, because it forced me to question the things that I was blaming for why I wasn't happy. And this man's story was kind of like the spark that told me it's time for me to do something different with my life. But it's because of his story and the impact that his one story had on me, that I realized how many young men there are in our communities, whether it's back at home or across the country for that matter, how many young men there are who maybe just need one story that might just spark that fire in them that leads them to take a different direction with their lives, because that happened for me. And so I just kind of always wanted to be able to be that, even if it's just for one other person, because I know the difference it made for me. I hope that helps to answer the question.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I think that's why I started this podcast as well, just to, I would say, meaningful conversations. But I mean, these stories can change people's mindset and way of living.
Exactly.
I was reminded now, just I think you made a one TikTok video about that school, that film about the school children,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, how the
Nova Park.
teacher actually changed the mindset of children. And I mean,
Oh, the movie. Yes, yes,
the
yes, yes,
writing,
yes.
how to the writing,
Freedom Writers.
readers, yeah, freedom writers. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that is what this is all about. Yes, growing.
Exactly.
You know, I spoke to you about gangsterism. It's not the way I was wanted to live my life. How did that affect you growing up?
Stage, I ended up volunteering at a couple of drug rehabilitation centers. And at these drug rehabilitation centers, I was directly in contact with people who were either part of gangs or unfortunately, subjected to the violence of gangs. And of course, coming from those areas, because I worked in Mitchells Plain, the rehabilitation center was in Westridge. And so I remember there used to be mornings when I would drive to work. In fact, I had a motorbike. I take take my ride to work in the morning. And there used to be days where, I kid you not, I would, in the mornings already, I would see, I would drive past bodies that were covered with, either a blanket or something like that, because the shooting had just happened before I got there. So I was in that kind of environment during that time. So in terms of impact on my personal life, I'm gonna have to be honest with you and say that in the early part of my life, it never really bothered me because I was not surrounded too much by that. But at the later stage of my life, I was maybe mature enough to know that, it's not anything that you want to be involved in. That being said, I definitely saw firsthand the kind of impact that that lifestyle can have on a community, on a family. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Wow, it sounds like you can make another video about that alone. Yes. And no, but
Yeah.
on a lighter note, I mean, how are you finding it actually there in Korea? Is it a year and a half now?
Yeah. Well, not exactly a year and a half. We moved. I moved here in August of last year, the end of August last year. So it's been a year and a couple of months. And fortunately, we will be going back home for the first time at the end of next month.
Oh, no.
So very excited to visit for about. We're gonna be there for about 3 weeks.
Oh, it's gonna be,
Um,
yeah.
yes, exactly. But yeah, in terms of what it's been like here in South Korea, it's been amazing. Such an eye-opening experience to see how different the world is on the side. It was a big culture shock for me in the beginning, I'll be honest. Very big culture shock. I struggled to adapt. Yeah.
What is like the main things here? Is it just like the weather or
Um,
the way?
so number one, where we live is a very rural town. Like,
Okay.
and I say rural like this because it's not rural like you and I would understand rural from back home, right? Rural here is still very advanced in comparison to what we know back at home, right? I mean, there's everything that you need here, and they are constantly developing and working on new projects and things like that, like in terms of infrastructure in this town. But nevertheless, it's still a rural kind of farming town. And so it's very small, and there's very few people who speak English.
It's the first.
Like, on one hand, I can probably count the number of people that speak English in this town.
That's it. Cool.
So adapting to that was a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And also the fact that because it's such a small town, you feel like you are, I mean, I felt in the beginning, I felt like I was in a cage because it was so different from home and I felt so secluded. So that I needed to kind of adapt and, change my thinking and my perspective. which happened after some time.
Yeah.
But other than that, this country has been amazing. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I think you saw one of the videos you said about how safe it is actually. And I mean, I can attest here in Qatar as well. I mean, my wife go take jogs outside here like 10, 11 o'clock the night, jogging around the area. And it's like, and I mean, I think for we now 10 years now in Qatar actually. And the thing for me when I go back home, like you maybe I'd experience now, I find it very challenging for me to go back home actually because I go to the petrol station or something, I'm like, I don't feel safe here. I mean, maybe it's too long here, like, because it's like, guys coming around and like, I don't feel safe. So yeah, it's really been a blessing for us as well, yes. Um,
Yeah.
I see you get,
Yeah.
oh, wait, wanted to say, I just think
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
really passionate about South Africa, and I should always, obviously I checked your videos. With the one, I
Yeah.
think you recently made one about thinking of how we can solve these problems, and you said, is it the political, is it education, the law, about
Mm,
Ubuntu,
yeah.
just having that
Yes.
attitude and mindsets in homes.
Yes.
Can you elaborate
Yes.
how?
So just to give some context to what you're saying for anybody who hasn't watched that video, I was responding to several questions in two of my videos just prior to that one,
Yeah,
where people kept asking the question, what do we do? How do we change South Africa? And literally that question kept me up for a couple of days afterwards. And I sat up chatting to my wife about it. It is true. There really is no single answer to how to address this. So there are these different levels to it. There's the politics, there's the education, there's law, and there's all these different other layers to it that need to be addressed. But the one that I think is most important to me is the one that you mentioned now, is that Ubuntu. And it's that humanity that I feel lacking, sorely lacking, not just on social media, but just in general, in everyday life. It feels like the qualities that made us really good people in the past, that gave us the kind of communities. I remember growing up as a very young child, where in my grandmother's street, she knew every single neighbor's name.
sure.
They would, send food and lean on one another when they needed something, and, very close-knit community. I remember that as a very, very young child. And we don't have communities like that anymore. As a Muslim during the month of Ramadan, I remember as a very young child, we used to send a little plate of cookies and biscuits and stuff, whatever we made to break our fast with for the night. My grandmother would go to this one's house, go make sure you go and give there, go at that auntie, and they would also send back to us. And I remember how that felt, man. We just don't have that today anymore. And so when I speak about that Ubuntu, I'm talking about that kind of way of thinking, that way of thinking about it's not just me and my life and what's best for me personally, but it's about what's best for all of us, how we can all benefit, how we can all be taken care of. Even if that means that I have a little bit less, it's okay, as long as I know that we are all taken care of the right way. Now, if we had that mentality and that outlook on life, if we had those kinds of morals and values, I think that addressing any of those other levels, those more serious and more technical levels that need to be addressed in our country, if we address it with that way of thinking, I think it'll be so much easier for us to actually change South Africa for the better. So yeah.
No, that's true. And I wonder is that, here in Qatar now, I see that people are so independent. And I mean, like you say, I remember also when the food came around, Christmas or Ramadan,
Mhm.
you get
Yeah.
the food from your neighbor.
Yes.
There was
Yeah.
good times,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like everybody just seemed to be on their own and on their own life's mission. Yeah, can be challenging, but no, I agree.
Yeah, if I can add to that, being here in South Korea
Mm,
is something else that I've also noted. I made a video of this particular topic as well. It's about the loneliness, the problem of loneliness in not only in South Korea, but even in Japan as well. In fact, it's become so serious. I actually found a video which I thought was funny,
yeah,
but what it talks about in the end, though, is a lot more serious. The video was about a man in Japan who's known as the Nothing Man. They call him the Nothing Man. because his job is to basically do nothing but hang out with people. So in other words, people are so lonely in Japan that they are willing to pay somebody just to spend time with them for a couple of hours, even if they don't say anything, even if they don't do anything, just not to be alone.
Sure.
They will pay somebody to do that. Now, in South Korea, there's a similar problem. In fact, it's become so serious that there's a word for this. It's called godoksa, and I spoke about this in one of my videos. Godoksa is basically called a lonely death, where in this year alone, in 2024, I believe, or last year, 2023, about 3,600 people in this country died a lonely death, meaning they passed away in a home entirely alone, with no one around and no one having known that they had passed away. And sometimes it's only days later that they are found. Now, that speaks to, again, a culture that is massively changing to this very individualistic way of thinking and way of being. And there's several reasons to that. I mean, it's not just a matter of saying that people just only care about themselves. For others, it might just be that, they don't feel comfortable and happy in the world because people are very competitive and judgmental, and it's very difficult to deal with people these days. And so there's various reasons why people do it. But nevertheless, that cultural shift, while we're speaking about South Korea and Japan, we can actually see similar pictures of this happening elsewhere around the world, including in South Africa as well. So it's a shift in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
Well, it's powerful. I got now, but couple of you said already with it. But yeah, for you, 2025, how is your feelings or thoughts for the new year? Or your or plans?
There's a couple of things that I'm thinking about. If we're talking specifically, if we're talking specifically about content creation, definitely YouTube is a definite that's going to happen in 2025. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, like how I'm actually going to use the platform, but it's going to happen. You've kind of inspired me to open up to the route of podcasts as well, because I agree with you. I think these conversations are really important. And I think one of the best ways to build a network is through having conversation. And what's a better way to make a meaningful change than when you have a team and a network of people who are all, on that same wavelength, reaching for the same goal. So that might be something as well. And then, that's content creation. Let me just say that. Keep pushing and being consistent with what I'm doing right now. I feel like I've got a good direction that I'm moving towards. Recently, there has been a bit talk in one of my videos about programs that I can maybe try to put into place, which would be awesome. But the thing is, because I'm not in South Africa, I'm not on the ground to do the work that would actually be necessary. But something that I've been massively passionate about is talking at high schools or giving workshops at high schools. That is something that I've really wanted to do. So if there's a way that I could create programs in 2025 and maybe find people who want to go out and do that kind of thing using that program, that would be awesome as well. So those are kind of things that I'm thinking about.
And I'm just thinking now, why do we have this internet available? I wonder if we could do some like online programs for high school children. That's what I really also found a passion for, to just uplift others here. But I mean, that
exactly.
Is maybe, and I would actually like to help you if you're all gonna do something.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. Really, I think it's something that's sorely needed by our kids in our communities. I mean, even in our homes, man, our parents do the best that they can to teach us the things that they believe to be important for us, and to present whatever opportunities they are able to. If there are ways for us to open up doors of opportunity for kids in our communities, and I'm talking about across all communities in our country, if there are ways for us to open up those doors purely through conversation, I think that kids could find the spark that they need for what they want to do with their lives after school a lot sooner. Because for me, it took me a long time to figure out what I was really passionate about. So, something like that would be awesome. I think if I could put something like that together, if I could find a way to do it online, that would be awesome. Yeah.
And I mean, I spoke to someone recently also about making content, and also maybe it's a touchy subject of trying to make money out of it. And I think,
Right.
yeah, and I think a person, I think you shouldn't be shy, because I know my wife had a tuck shop for years, that corner shop on the,
Yeah.
and that tuck shop actually sent my wife to university or college. I mean, here's a platform where you can actually sell things, and it's
Right.
multi-billionaire YouTube and all these things are
Yes.
available. I think we really should actually get more kids involved and say, listen, you make a product or program and go for it.
Mm, mm, mm,
Because I mean, even then when I thought about doing this thing, I'm like, you know, can you make money out of this thing? And then I almost like, I don't want to like tell my audience, but I think we really should try to be more open. And if it can make an 8-year-old billionaire, I mean, why don't
right.
you could at least try? What's your thoughts
Right.
on
Right. Right. So I strongly agree with you on that.
this?
I think it's a bit difficult to try and bridge the gap
Yeah,
between the kind of influences that I think many people, and I'm specifically referring to South Africa, many South Africans are kind of tired of. It's about being able to bridge the gap between being the activists who sincerely want to add value to the community without becoming or without being seen as the kind of influencer who's just in it to make a couple of grand, if you know what I mean, right? It's finding the balance between those two things. But I agree with you. I think it should be something that we should be
well,
willing and open to pursue, but without it being the main goal, if that makes sense. Like the main goal has always got to be the value that you bring to your community. And through the value that you bring, that is what should ultimately determine, what you make in return. But I think it's something that especially in South Africa, in a country that sorely needs entrepreneurial opportunities for people to earn an extra income, if we can create that in a meaningful way that actually adds value to our communities, I think that's absolutely awesome.
there's that one YouTuber, I forgot his name now, but he was saying this. Actually, he said he really think it's going to be actually a school curriculum for becoming a YouTuber or content creator, because
Right.
I mean it's a really a good position to actually be in if you can get into it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
I agree
uh,
with you.
yeah. But any last thoughts? I see it's like 2 minutes left.
Good.
Yeah. So from
It's
20,000,
gone by so quickly.
it's like 3 minutes I see here. But yeah, thank you again, and continue your content. I really enjoy it. And I wish you all the best if you're going to. I think you really have such a nice voice, I think. And I think you will actually do very good on a podcast. Yeah, you should really just do it. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm enjoying where things are going right now and the way that things are going right now. And I'm kind of just allowing things to flow. But I don't just enjoy it, man. I love it.
Nice.
You say I love it. And I'll end off with this, right?
Yeah.
I love it so much that there are times where when my wife and I sit and have supper together, she will catch me whispering to myself. But it's because in my head, I'm already scripting what I want to say for another video.
No, I can relate a bit. But no, that's
So,
funny because
so yeah, we'll see where things go.
no, I can relate, because I'm just thinking now when I'm like, I just thought of something. I just go to my book and I write it down. That's such a good idea I just got, and I'm like, I don't want to lose it. But yeah, but I'm sure
Right,
we'll
right. Exactly.
have another chat again. And yeah, all the
Yes.
best. I won't see
Yes.
you before the end of the year. All the best for you for the new year, for you and your pet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. And likewise to you too, Jonathan. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really nice having this chat with you. And I do look forward to having a chat with you again
no problem.
in 2025. All the best to you and your family as well.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. Okay, bye bye.
All right.